Okay, welcome everyone to something that we have worked hard on and I'm excited to tell you about. We're Linder, a company that's been in existence since 2009 that I founded and still head. And I'll talk a little bit about our history first. So qualification and inspiration. Who am I, in case you don't know? My name is Kristen Linder, and I am the head of school currently for the Linder Academy. I have kind of a varied history. I have a master's in developmental psychology. In that, I focused a lot on both developmental and clinical psychology. I'm really interested in how we learn and also learning disorders, how it goes wrong, and then evidence-based ways that we approach and remediate those things. I'm currently in progress on my doctorate in psychology. My current focus is cognitive neuroscience. I finished all my coursework. My current research is around numeracy. My master's, I focused a lot on literacy. I'm now looking at reasoning, biases, numeracy, how young minds start to master these concepts. I have the special education law certificate from William and Mary Law School. Throughout my career, I've done a ton of 504 and IEP advocacy within public schools. I've taught at the undergraduate level at Georgetown and George Mason, and I've led graduate labs at George Mason. So me personally, I grew up in rural Louisiana in the public school system. I'm actually a huge believer in public school. Um, in public school, I grew up in a really rural part of Louisiana, but Louisiana has this incredible system where we all took academic achievement testing every year. And if you were in the top 0.01% of that academic achievement testing, you could apply to a boarding school that was publicly funded called Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts. It's the #3 ranked school in the entire country, public and private. It's an exceptional program. We were housed on a college campus. We had a college schedule. We were allowed to major and just become really engaged and independent people. If you have a gifted child, you probably know that most people that are gifted have secondary diagnoses, whether those are attention disorders or anxiety, those types of things. So I spent a lot of time around exceptional academics and very unique people. I started Linder in 2009 when I moved here to pursue Georgetown University for my first graduate degree. I have a strong history in interventions, our company, executive functioning supports, after school programs, college applications. I've helped thousands of students through the college application process, from test prep to the list creation, all of those things. And we've won a lot of awards in the region for our test prep program. So that was the background of Linder. I saw a need in general in the region for schools that are more flexible, that are more healthy for students, and that were meeting the needs that our students tend to have in the modern day. And I really saw a lack of options in this region for the type. A couple foundational things have guided me. One, making a program with top tier academics. So we want to bring the top evidence-based research and practices through 8 to the high school curriculum, continuing our model of pairing academic rigor with support. We also want to build independence, and this is, I think, the weakest area in most educational programs in the region. Alongside the academics and the classes that they have to take in the transcript, high school is so much more and college is so much more. It's about becoming a person. And at Linder, we're going to have things like skill development classes. We're going to teach a lot of things that kids never get taught and that their success depends on. We're going to have teacher-supported study halls, extensive on and off-campus extracurriculars that are unique and really different than what other schools are offering. We're going to have 1-week intersession internships every year, so our students can actually work in the fields that they're interested in and learn if that's something that they want to continue to pursue. We continue to see each person as a developing human and not just as a student or a number to be pushed through grade levels and handed a certificate at the end, or in this case, a diploma. First, I want us to talk about academics. What are the academic structure? What is the academic structure that we're setting up? How are we organizing it? How are we thinking about it? So just like the high school I went to, students will be able to have custom majors. My school was math, science, and the arts that I attended myself as a student, but I'm creating a school, so I'm adding the humanities as a major. In math, those are students that might love math, engineering, computer science. We'll have advanced options across the board. Science, from biology and chemistry, which all students have to take, to things like environmental science, physics. They'll be able to actually discover passions in a true lab environment. One of the benefits of the boarding school that I went to is we were taught by college professors. So I got to help actual professors that were in town and serving to work for a year or two. One of my professors was from Yale, and I got to work with him on research in a lab, and that was amazing. And I still think about it. Those are the kind of experiences that we're wanting to create here. They can have a fine and performing arts major. So, a campus that has dedicated music practice and performance spaces, dance studios, and fine art rooms, our students can follow passions, whether that's on campus or on the stage. And I'll talk some about the benefits of being in Old Town for that. And then also the humanities, whether it's history, political science, English, creative writing, kids that really want to learn how to study and analyze the world and write about it will be able to do that. Some quick questions that have come up. Can you double major? Yes, you can. What about a general studies major? What if you do what you're supposed to do and think you want something and actually learn a lot about it and decide maybe that's not your path? We'll have a general studies major as well for students that might change their mind or want to transition into other fields. What we're going for here is the creation of a unique transcript. When I look at and I help students at all the surrounding schools, top private schools, top public schools with college applications each year, they all look the same. And that's just the truth. All the transcripts look the same. They're either on a high track or a middle track or a low track. Maybe you're exchanging a couple of the options for your AP classes or your IB, but in general, they're very generic and you're competing against people in your zip code when you're applying to college. And so it's very important to me that I'm giving students an academically rigorous path to actually make a compelling and really powerful transcript for their college applications and for their own education. We're aligning our graduation requirements. We don't have to. Private schools aren't really bound by anything in Virginia, but we're going to align ours with VDOD standards. A big reason for me for this is that life changes. And if a family might need to go back into public school, they'll have that option with us. But it also means that our students can know that when they're competing against their public school peers, that they're checking those same boxes, that it's not being held against them, that they're at a private school. So what does that look like? Our core requirements are going to be really similar. 4 years of math, science, English, etc. remain the same. We'll offer both slower tracks, like perhaps if you're going for a standard diploma, you need 4 years of math and they have to include algebra and geometry. But on a slower track, you might take algebra across 2 years as opposed to in 1 year. We'll also have advanced tracks. We have students currently at our middle school that are 2 or 3 years into their math credits already for high school. They might be aiming for something like discrete calculus by their senior year. All students will have the solid foundation they need across those core subjects. That's the foundation. Then what makes us unique is our major fields. So after those core requirements, and for most students, that's going to primarily be in 11th and 12th grade, they can begin to focus on gaining additional credits in their major track. So while they might be on a slower math track, they could be on the most advanced fine art track or vice versa. And again, that's making that really compelling college transcript and honestly, really confidence building personal experience where you're not a low student or a high student. You're just a person and you have strengths and weaknesses like everyone else, and we can really accommodate both. We will have, just checking my notes, anything else? No, that's all for this slide. All right. What does that look like spelled out? So all students are going to have 4 years each of math, English, science, and social studies. All students will need 2 years of foreign language. We will allow them to use American Sign Language, especially for some of our kids with disabilities. They can also use coding languages for our computer nerds or ones that are interested in that. Python, that counts. It's another language. Health and PE, they'll have to have 2 years. We won't actually have a health and PE class. As I'll talk about later, we're going to have some really expansive sports electives to sub in for that. We will also have the ability. I did the Junior Olympics when I was in early college, and I trained all in high school. And I was able to take that as an independent study for my training time. That's something our students can do. If you have a student that's really powerful and interested and involved in something, let that count for credit. We don't need to recreate the wheel here. For arts, they're going to have to take 1 year. It can be a visual arts class, performing arts, or music or dance, something like that. They'll need 4 years of electives. They can take more courses in their major tracks and their electives, or they can dabble across the board. That's where they're really going to have a ton of freedom to really figure out what it is that they want to do. We're also going to have an applied component that's really unique in this region, but is modeled on the same school that I went to, where every year students participate in a special topic weekend. It's a research area in their field. They also participate in what we call a special project week or intersession. It is a week between the fall and spring semester. For example, I was a biology major. And I went down to one of the research centers in Southern Louisiana and tagged dolphins for a week and was part of that research team. And I had real world experience and I loved it. And so we'll have those options across all the majors for each student for intersession every year. They're also going to have a work service component at the school. Whether that's helping in the library, helping brainstorm and organize with student government components, doing community service, all of these things, but they're important for me so that students really understand the world around them, especially if they're growing up in this area that is a really unique, high income, high achieving area that just isn't representative of the world. Most of the core classes are going to align for the first 2 years. So if you think about if you went to college and you got a liberal arts degree, most people are taking really similar classes the first 2 years. So for ninth graders that are coming in and don't already have a lot of high school credits, most of their ninth and 10th grade classes will look similar. They're going to have flexibility around the electives, the foreign language, things like that. It's really the later 2 years that they get to expand out and really start self-selecting courses. Next, how are we going to handle grading and assessment? We're going to focus on mastery and have transparent grading. So that's not new for us. How do I feel about grades? They're important when it comes to applying for college. A huge thing is your GPA. Our students are going to receive final grades for each semester course that they take. Unlike other schools, however, we're going to actually support students to make the kind of grades that they want to earn and that they can earn. So students are going to meet with their mentor weekly to review their grades, missing work, any assignments, make a plan for the week. We'll help them craft study plans and intervention plans if needed. Are we going to require them to go to a study hall? Are they struggling and need to set up a time in an office hour? They're going to gain the supports that they need to ensure success by the semester's end. We're going to help them with goal setting, weekly reviews, and executive functioning support. Again, a foundation of my company is executive functioning support for students. This is something we know how to do, and we know how to do it really well. We know how to teach it. We're going to bring that to this school. Study halls and study hall attendance and intervention. Sometimes students do need additional help and interventions, just like our students can currently get additional interventions at the current Linder. It's going to be the same at the high school. Some students might simply need additional intervention and support in chemistry, whether that's small group or one-to-one, and we will plan to offer that. Homework. So as everyone knows, I don't love homework, but I like to think of it instead as the way school systems have failed. And the way school systems have failed is that they have children report to school and get a fire hose of information for 8 hours straight every single day. And at the end of each of those hours, a teacher is giving them homework, upcoming test, all of these things. They then go home exhausted, have to figure out how to study, how to organize these things. Most kids in this area spend an average of 3 to 4 hours of homework a night. If you have kids with disabilities or in advanced classes, that number goes way up. And then on top of that, they're after school trying to build their resume for college. It's just not functional. What homework is meant to do, in theory, is the goal is studying, practice, and mastery, right? So I wanted us to just focus on that as the goal. Our homework policy is that class periods are going to be focused on instruction, just like in college. Consequently, outside of class, formal class periods, students have to do work in order to study, practice, and master their material. But at Linder, we're going to build time into the day to get all of their studying done while at school and with help, with teacher provided help as needed. We'll offer things like crash courses at the start of each semester, where if a student needs a really quick grammar review or algebra review, they can join a 4-week crash course to get that, to help them get that leg up on a class they might be struggling to start. We'll have office hours for all of our teachers where they can go for one-to-one help. It's an important lesson in advocacy and agency. Can't tell you how many students I have taught in college that I don't know, haven't seen, never came to an office hour, and then approached me before the final exam because they're upset that they have a D and they don't understand and they want some miracle to get the grade higher. If they'd only come to me sooner, they could have gotten free tutoring from me in office hours. I would have helped them. And this is true with a ton of kids in college if you talk to college professors. And it's because they've never been taught how to use office hours. We're going to teach them. Study halls will have weekly options in all of the core subjects. Attendance can be drop in. Maybe you have a test coming up. You want to drop in and ask some questions or clarifying things or whatever. That's fine. We can also require attendance. Most of our ninth graders will be required to attend relevant study halls. Or if a student starts struggling and in those weekly meetings their mentor flags it, we can require them to attend study halls. Each study hall will be led by a teacher of that field. So we'll have a math study hall, science study hall, etc. We'll also encourage students to do study groups. As you'll see in our design, we have dedicated study rooms they can reserve. And we want them to learn how to get together, how to make plans, how to study. And that is really the model of college success. All right, so we've talked some about the academics. Academics are important. They're in no way everything. A huge other goal for our program is going to be building independence. And this is, well, you're going to hear me talk a lot about it. So let's just jump to it. I'm thinking of this as a trajectory where students come in unready to enter college or the workforce because they're kids and because they've been in middle school. And by the time that they leave our program and graduate, I want them to be already executing the independence as if they are in college. It is no big transition. If you don't know, there's a 20% dropout rate of freshmen at all colleges, including Ivies. And it's not because these kids aren't talented, and it's not because they aren't motivated, and it's not because they don't have the support. It's because they were overstructured in high school. They had these insane days that are unrealistic. They had minimal actual agency. And then they're just given a massive amount of freedom in college, and they literally do not know and have not been taught how to manage it. This is a huge problem. So I'm taking that on with our design. In ninth grade, we're going to focus on foundations. Ninth graders are going to have teacher-supported study halls, a study skills class, executive functioning support, and formal mentorship. By 10th grade, I think of it more like expansion. Students are going to complete most of their core requirements by now across the field and begin to investigate courses in their major. 11th grade is about specialization. 11th grade is the last grade that your student will have a transcript for if they're applying early admission or early decision to colleges. So it's really important that that 11th grade year represents them. That's where students can begin to double up on courses in their major, build their resume and their portfolios, like art portfolios or acting portfolios. All students will begin college test prep formally in school. The usual timeline I go on is that we want to give students test prep in early of their junior year. For most students, they've already covered all the core classes. We want them to take that test late fall junior year. We spend spring of junior year knowing where their GPA is and where their test scores are, roughly. We might retake some and they might change a little. We're going to work on college visits, talking to parents and figuring out where they want to go, making our college list. Essay prompts come out in the summer before their senior year. So in fall senior year, their time around college is going to be doing essays with us, sorting out references, finalizing applications, making early admission, early decision timelines, and actually submitting those applications, as in we are together, doing the Common App together, helping with the FAFSA, all of those things. So 12th grade is focused on independence. Students move into an almost fully college schedule. They learn to manage their independence with advanced coursework, and all students complete college applications and portfolio in school, like I spoke about. We will have a dedicated college counselor. So that's something we're going to have on staff. And again, as a company and as a person, this is an area of strength for us for 15 years. All right, I've talked a little bit about college scheduling. What does that mean? We're going to have semester blocks. So let's say you're going to take Algebra 1. You can take Algebra 1 Part 1 in the fall, Algebra 1 Part 2 in the spring. The classes are by semester. We're going to utilize a block schedule. I'm actually going to show you one when I move forward as a sample. But we're building in, to combat this fire hose effect that kids suffer from, we're going to build in downtime in the day, study time in the day. We're going to allow them time to foster relationships and advocacy with teachers. They want to go on a midday run. They need an early morning swim. They have an afternoon study session. They can do it with our flexibility. And that's really important. And also, if you have a student that is in high athletics outside of school, they can front load their morning classes. They can finish school early to get to those practices. This is the flexibility that just isn't offered in Northern Virginia. Off-campus life. We have Old Town at its best. We're at the heart of Old Town. So whether that's off-campus lunches, sports and arts programs in the community, we're next to the Torpedo Factory. We have the Art League right here. Integrated internships in surrounding sectors, whether that's at HQ2. There's so much in this area that schools aren't getting off of their campuses and utilizing. We're going to utilize those. And then guardrails. Support systems are ready to be activated at any time to support a student along that path to independence. It's not linear. So some students will start more independent than others. They'll have a time where they're really struggling because life gets hard. Some students will make great linear progress and then they hit a couple hard classes and they start to struggle. We're ready when, not if, they need help. So while it's a policy, for example, that students will have to have a study skills class as a freshman and they'll have to have an executive functioning block, we can implement those. They can join those at any point along the way so that we have these guardrails and students know that they're supported. Currently, I've mentioned it, one of my concerns is that students are unhealthily booked all day at school. And then after school, they have hours of homework, and then they're adding in sports and resume building activities into evenings and weekends. Our kids are way overscheduled. We have massive national rises in anxiety and depression. We have high diagnostic rates of ADHD, and a lot of these are because our school system is in no way built for children. And so while I talk a lot about this moving to a college schedule, it's because this is actually healthier. This is an easier way to live. People, all of us, need downtime in the day. So that is a big piece of this. And also, when we're thinking about what we're building a portfolio for them that is larger than course completions. It's not just your transcript. You're not going to have a generic transcript. Linder students are going to have academic rigor, but they're going to have a lot more. Skill development, weekly teacher-led study halls, required classes in study skills, executive functioning, and ethics. All students have to take an ethics class. Office hours for one-to-one with teachers and crash courses, like I've mentioned. They're also going to have internships. They're going to have those 1 week intersessions each year, getting hands-on experience in fields. They're going to learn about real world applications. Our campus is being built for hands-on real life experience in a variety of fields. We're going to support national competitions, whether that's art or poetry or robotics. We'll field teams for those. Our teachers will help students. We're really interested in them solving real world problems. And that's an amazing resume builder. We're also going to help them identify passions. So Linder students will be able to apply to colleges and they're actually going to know what field they want to work in. They're not going to be a miss. They're not going to have been hyper-structured. They will have had the agency to investigate and to know with good reason what it is that they actually like. They'll have advanced coursework in that field. And that's the experience colleges are looking for. Colleges are always wondering, is this student going to be one of our 20% dropout their freshman year? And that's what ruins their numbers. And that's what affects their tuition. And so when they look, they want to know, does a student know how to work? Do they know how to balance their life? Does this read like a parent has been obsessively managing them, or does this read like an individual? And we want our students, when they're read by colleges and in real life, to be their individual selves with all the support and strengths that they need. What about the community at Linder, especially for those of us that don't know us? We're big on inclusivity. So we're going to continue our mission of real inclusive education with a focus on universal design. So universal design, if you don't know, is a parent sent me a great comic the other day where it had snowed everywhere and there was one shovel and a bunch of people waiting to get into a building. And somebody was starting by shoveling the stairs. And someone said, shouldn't we shovel the wheelchair ramp? Because if we shovel that, everyone can get in. But if we shovel the stairs, only people that can access the stairs can get in. And that's the point of universal design. So if you don't know, and you're not a current Linder person, all of our classrooms run heavily on universal design principles, timed work blocks, movement breaks, visual schedules, transition warnings, things that some students need, but all students benefit from. We're going to bring that into our next model. We have high level support for disabilities. A third of our student population has a primary identification as a learning and developmental disability. We have a strong SPED department. It will continue. Very similar to our current one. We will follow IEPs and 504s. We will help transition people onto 504s because colleges accept 504s, but not IEPs, if you don't know, due to the difference in the federal law. We'll offer accommodations, interventions, and support systems. And that's not just for students with disabilities. That's part of that universal design. But we'll have the depth and the experience and the clinical background that so many of us have that can really help them much more than other programs are able to. And then we're going to pair it with our limitless potential. So if you don't know, a third of our current population is top percentile gifted, but most of our gifted population has a secondary diagnosis, whether that's gifted in anxiety, gifted on the spectrum. So we love the neurodiverse population at both ends. Our limitless potential is for everyone, not gifted students. So with major tracks, students in a variety of fields, they can pursue passions at the highest level. So we're going to offer true high-end coursework that's typical of a magnet school, but we're going to remain true to our inclusivity, realizing that everyone should have a chance. So you might have a student that's on that slower math track that's doing algebra across 2 years. There's no reason that they're not in the most advanced foreign language program or the most advanced science program or dance program. Unlike other schools where students get tracked high, medium, and low, all of our students have the flexibility to be both, depending on the areas that they want to focus in. Campus life. Social. So we have access to a ballroom. If you don't know where our campus is, it is, I'll show an image of it shortly, but it's next to Christ Church. Christ Church owns the building that we're taking over. And they have an awesome ballroom. And so our final student population is also going to reach 160. That's the goal for the campus. So we're going to have things like dances and other social events. We also plan to partner with other private schools to have an active and full calendar of options for our students. Athletics, near and dear to my heart. I am an athlete through and through. Due to our scheduling, students are going to have rare freedom to pursue athletics at the highest level. We can partner with other schools for things like club sports, and we can plan to have our own team for a variety of non-traditional sports. Think biking, fencing, archery, swim. Those are all areas that we have local partners that we can work with. And then clubs, from school clubs that meet during the day or after school to partner clubs with other schools aimed at competitions like an Odyssey of the Mind. Our students can pursue a variety of passions with like-minded peers. Our campus. So this is the architectural drawing from the front end of what the building will look like. If you are unfamiliar with this building, it's currently a Ross store right on South Washington. It's a big girl. So 20,000 square feet on this entrance level floor and about 15,000 square feet on that second story. And the church is already built out from the back entrance, their floor, which is 19 classrooms, some community spaces. It's a lovely building. We will be taking these 2 floors down to the studs and doing an absolutely full remodel. What are we going to do? So you'll see over here cars. Pick up and drop off, which is already approved, is on Columbus Street, which is great because if you're dropping a kid at our current campus, you will pull through the line, turn right into the alley, left onto Gibbon. That first light is Columbus. You can head right and come straight down to this campus. Students will be able to come in and you'll see that we have one kind of long running central hall. This dashed line is actually the line where all of this middle section is a full 2 stories high. It's a huge open zone. The other ones have, I think, 14 or 16-foot ceilings, and then there's another floor built above it. So students will be able to come in on the right. We're going to have a lunchroom. It can seat around 100. You'll see booths. All of these are also foldable because you'll notice that we have a stage here. So for small performances, assemblies, it abuts our soundproof music and music practice rooms for easy access there. When you come out on the right, you'll see we'll have another teaching kitchen, which has been a super popular thing for our kids at our current campus. On the left, as you walk in, you've got your front desk, you've got your staff lounge and workrooms, assistant principal's office. Here we have individual shower as well as girls and boys bathrooms. We will have independent gender neutral bathrooms on campus, just like our current campus. Then coming through, we've got our 3 main labs. The first is going to be a technology lab, which is built and focused on things like computer science, robotics, those types of things. Next will be a science lab, which will be a fully built to code college science lab. And so they'll be able to do a variety of experiments, and this one lab will serve multiple different classes when they have lab days. And then we'll have our fine art studio here, also built to code for a fine art studio. We're planning to have, pottery, really all of the major fine arts. So that will all be built out here. Then as you pass this hall, you'll see that we have a dance studio. This is a regulation size, kind of standard dance studio. We plan to offer all the standards, ballet, jazz, hip hop, those types of things. We'll have two locker rooms, and then we'll have a gym. As an example, we can have fencing, weightlifting, we're gonna have a climbing wall. But in our first year, as I'll talk about, we're gonna be partnering out to nearby places while we're building this to actually use those same facilities elsewhere. All of these blue squares are actually skylights. This is a big central stair that will go up to a glass bridge that goes across. And then this is the first floor of our library and media center. It's going to be built for research. Remember, if you don't know, that we are 2 blocks at this campus from a public library. I want our kids to know how to use a university library. I see kids all the time that go to the university library. They don't know how to request a book. They don't know how to use a consortium and request one book from one library be sent elsewhere. They don't understand any of those mechanics because they've just been on a laptop at whatever their campus was for 4 years for high school doing not real research. So we're going to help them learn what real research looks like and how it's done by using our library as a central space and a media area, and we'll definitely have a great collection like we currently do, but we're going to help them learn how to use the real library systems and to go there and to work in those systems. So this is the first floor. The second floor, quote unquote, is really what we're thinking about as a phase 2. This is my first pass at designing it, but I reserve the right to edit it depending on how the school use actually happened. We're planning to have 12 classrooms. You can see dedicated study cartels and study rooms. Here's our gender neutral toilets, as well as some more group toilets. You will see that we have rooms for, we call this counseling, but they're actually therapy rooms. So our kids that still get occupational therapy, speech language pathology, all of those things still available. We will still allow outside providers in. They can have it at school here. This is a glass bridge that will then go across. So they'll have windows looking out into the central space. The glass bridge will go across, and the mezzanine on the other side is where we will build out the majority of our admin offices and admin spaces and conference rooms. So this is what we start in February, this huge demo that was going to take 5 months, February of 26. What are we doing in the meantime? In the meantime, the entire first floor is already built out by the church. They use it for Sunday school, English second language classes, all of those pieces. So we're taking over, starting in September, the yellow demarcated section. It's roughly 18,000 square feet, which is actually the same size as our current campus, in September. So we'll have our classrooms, we'll have community centers. These storage rooms are actually the size of offices. So these will be our admin offices. We've got multiple bathrooms and breakout spaces. And then this giant kind of unclaimed space to use as we shall see fit. This is where we're going to start. So in September, we're only going to allow roughly anywhere from 30 to 50 students at this campus. We'll be starting there. And we're really excited about it. What about a schedule? What does that look like? So I wanted to give you a sample 9th grade schedule. This is actually showing one more class than required. So just like in college, you can take more than 12 hours or 14 hours, but you'll need permission to do it. But I wanted to show you that even if a student takes an entire extra credit, right, they still have a lot of flexibility. So for this 9th grader, they're taking Algebra 1 3 times a week. They have freshman seminar here. They're doing Russian as their foreign language. They're taking Literature Fundamentals 1, which is the class that all the 9th graders will be taking. They have their required study skills class. You can see their study halls they'll be required to go to. For this student, it's math and science. Then the student's taking biology, South Asian History 1 for their history. And then they doubled up on some of these electives. So they're taking both tennis and improv, a theater class. This is one example. So your average student would actually have one less colored block here to give you an idea of how much time they're going to have during the day for these other options. What about a 12th grader? This is again showing one more class than required. So this should look very similar to you to how your college schedule looked, which is what we're building them towards. This student is more of a math, computer science major, so they're taking discrete calculus. They're using Python coding as their foreign language. They're taking creative writing for their English and quantum mechanics for their science. Comparative economics is their history. And then they're doing advanced piano and robotics too, just as an example. So this student looks different than any senior student that you would see on another transcript. This is a powerful transcript, and this is a course set that means something and that communicates something about this student. What is our timeline right now? In September of 2025, we're launching the Linder Upper School in that first floor with a max of 5 classrooms. So max of 50, 10 per class is what we're looking at. In February, we take over the second and third floors of the building and we begin construction. Construction will be done by July. We'll have our completed campus of that main floor, the gym, the studios, the labs, all of that. The following summer, we can elect to go ahead and expand to the third floor and put classrooms up there. But we're going to run at least a year before I finalize those plans because we maintain access to all the classrooms on the first floor. And so we might find with our students there's a different way we want to structure that third floor, but we're planning to get that construction done in June of 2027. What does year one look like? So year one, this coming year, is going to look different than once the whole school is up and running. We're going to do it for 7th to 9th grade instructional levels. And I say instructional levels because I mean, we're planning to support, for example, through Algebra 2 next year. At a lot of schools, that would be 11th grade, but for us, that's in the 7th to 9th grade instructional level. We have some more advanced, some older students that are taking lower level classes. So if you're a bit confused on if they would fit into our program offerings next year, just talk to me. How are we going to handle it? One, we're going to do our core classes. They're going to be taught by our full-time teaching staff in those classrooms, just like they always will be. Two, though, we're doing a lot of community partnerships, from rock climbing at Sport Rock to fencing at the Northern Virginia Fencing and Archery Association, to pottery at the Art League, and dance at nearby dance studios. We're able to partner with a lot of community providers that are super excited to have kids during the day because right now, all of their clientele is after school and weekends. So they're really excited to work with us. We're going to use the community and use those local studios to get kids this access. How are they getting there? Well, some of them they'll be able to walk. But mobility, we're also going to get a 14 passenger bus to allow ease of transport and integration with the current campus. So we, depending on how, enrollment ends up going, we might have a student that needs OG at our current campus and then needs some advanced work at the high school campus, and we'll be able to have that mobility. We're also looking at supplements in the community, which is such a brilliant thing about being here. From local science labs to our national museums, our curriculum can incorporate supplementing within the community while building our campus. Thank you. I guess that's the end. I'm so excited to launch something that is new on the East Coast and that is frankly still pretty rare in the States as a whole. I'm really excited to have an inclusive, rigorous model that allows me to work with all of the kids that are the unique beings that I've built my career around and love working with. I like to be able to push them to achieve and also support them where they need. I'm excited to see our kids grow in knowledge and independence in preparation for college, but I'm more excited to get kids to continue to love their education and to be part of it and to find what it is that they want to do with their lives and to have the means to do it. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time to watch the webinar, and I'm can't wait to see kind of what the future holds for us. And I will be adding the slide deck. My dog says hi. We will have animals at the other campus too. I'm adding the slide deck. We will have the website up soon, and we've already started admissions. So if you would like to get on my admissions calendar, please reach out to Carly or contact us through the website. Thanks so much.